Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to check on if everything is sounding and looking good here as we take a look at, yeah, probably what we really don't want to be looking at here tonight. But first, going to let you uh, join in here and, uh, yeah, let's just let everybody get in here a second or two. This is always a touch and go situation, obviously. So there's, I suspect, a fair amount of people that we're going to have new on the stream tonight. So welcome aboard. This is Randy Small, Whatcom County Weather. I'm live streaming on both YouTube and Facebook. And from my home office, I just got back. Okay, let me see if I can turn the volume up. Just got back in from doing some photography here tonight. Does that sound any better? Just curious. If can you still hear me? Is that, or is it getting worse? Maybe I'm not close enough to the microphone, although it's pretty close. Okay. Okay. Let me fix that. See if I can get this microphone a little bit closer here. Just a second. Put it on top of a book here. I'm not totally organized, but let me see if that works a little better. So hopefully it doesn't come flying off here, but lots to do here. So let's jump in. I see a lot of people coming on in here. If you're new to the YouTube or, well, let's start with the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We're just getting this off the ground and we're bumping up in a hurry, and we're probably going to bump up more, especially if I end up live streaming here on YouTube. And that is going to be my first target, is if I have to go out and cover flooding, it's probably going to be a YouTube first. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do both at the same time. If YouTube ends up falling apart, then I'm back to Facebook. But make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel. Give us a like, and as much as you can watch it, that's going to be helpful to getting our channel out there in the algorithm. And then on Facebook, it's the same drill that we've always had there. So I'm going to go ahead and get cooking on the current conditions here. So let me grab that. Hopefully you can see my Whatcom County map here with the wind gusts out of the north, and not too much when it comes to gusts, but 10 miles an hour. I'm going to be quick about this because this is not really what you're most concerned about, but temps in the mid 40s just about everywhere in the lowlands. And then what I'm looking at here is what is the temperature at the Mount Baker ski area, Heather Meadows, and it's 31. So we know that the snow levels have not zoomed up yet. So that's going to happen probably overnight, and that's very concerning to me as I look at this. So, by the way, put your comments and questions in the chat, either the YouTube chat or the Facebook comments, and I'll try to address them as we go, and when I need a break from looking at weather maps. But back to this, let's take a look at precip for the 48-hour. Actually, I'm going to do 72-hour period to try to grab everything. Not too crazy in the lowlands here, but when you go up here into the mountains, these numbers start getting higher, and they were probably a little higher than what we thought they would be. So we're seeing some 5.4 inch up by the Twin Sisters, some 4.6 inch, 4.8 inch, and that's, basically when we're looking at the grand scheme of thing, that's the first round. Now we're coming into the second round. And so as we look at that, let's see, what do we add on to this? That's kind of what I'm looking at. And since the river got up higher than, was it a foot higher? I don't know, but it was a little bit higher than what I thought. And so, now we're starting where the river is going to be up higher than it was the first round. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So I'm not going to go through much of these other things here that I normally do, but I did want to, again, confirm the ski area at 8 o'clock, and actually I can refresh this. It should have the 9 o'clock reading. It's 31, so you can see the temperature at 5,000 feet went up 2 degrees. It held steady here at 31 as it came back down. It's kind of fluctuated between 32, 34, 31, but you can see at 5,000 feet, it went up 2 degrees in the last hour. So as that happens, obviously if it's precipitating up there, that's snow currently, but at some point those snow levels are going to zoom up. So really gonna, this is going to become critical as we go into this, because as many of you know, whether it's the 21 flood or the 20 flood or back into the 90s, or, there's many floods we could talk about. The reality is everybody's on edge. And we've got a whole host of rivers to our south that's going to be problem areas, some already today. If you were following Benjamin over on Washington Weather Chasers, he was probably the main guy in the middle of a lot of stuff. So anyway, you can see here, hopefully the satellite is showing up here tonight, but you can see that big moisture plume. Well, basically an infrared satellite, you can kind of see what's coming, and you can see that lit up here in nice greens and yellows. And so that indicates, a decent amount of precipitation coming at us. And if we go over, I'm going to quick flip this over to the radar here a minute. Hold on. There it is. The radar. You can see here as I've got it on the loop from up here at Half Moon Peak up in BC, but that's our best radar for seeing the lowlands plus the mountains. You can see this first wave has come in, especially you can see Linden and Blaine and Birch Bay, maybe down a little bit into Ferndale, that yellows, and that first come, and then we're just going to see this continue for quite some time. So, and if you want to, let me just show you the Aldergrove radar, which is right across the border. It's not as good, but again, it's pretty much saying the same things here in the lowlands. If we look at the Camano Island radar, it always has that donut hole up here because I think there's a hill issue. The beam is missing here, but you can see the amount of greens and yellows. I mean, yellow is, a little bit heavier rain, kind of moderate, I guess, is what we would call it in the business. And, see if I can get this loop to come up here and put the cities back on. But you can just see there is maybe a little bit of a donut hole here in a rain shadow going on here, kind of in the North King, South Snohomish. You can kind of see that off and on. But look at all this rain still coming in. Now, they've already got flood issues down south, but look at this. And there's oranges. Take it, for example, here, Yelm, down here. Just southeast of Olympia, and a lot of you know where Yelm and Roy and those areas, kind of south of Fort Lewis, you've got those oranges. And so you've got these rivers which already have high, they went up and now they're coming back down, and now they're going to go zoom again. So, and then if you want to look at the coastal radar here, which is one of the best things we have going, you're probably going to see a host more, kind of precipitation here as we put this into motion, hopefully. But you can see, some of that waves kind of coming on in, and then, that radar can only go so far, but we're seeing more pick it up perfectly, but you can see that here tonight. So, that's what we're up against. Before I get into the specific things of the Nooksack, which I will here in just a moment, I want to stop, quit looking at the radar for a second here, and I want to go back, and I'm going to display my whole screen here. Just a second here, and I want to pull up, and hopefully you can see this. I want to pull up just a second. That's not it here. Hang on. Nope. I don't know where I put it. Well, I'll have to come back to that. I'm sorry, I was last minute putting this together, so let me pause on that. Let's go back to looking at the hazard viewer here, and where we were looking here at the satellite. Let's look at the National Weather Service kind of update here, and this is just for Linden, but you see this temperature down here, 100% chance of rain, 100% chance of rain tomorrow, and a 90% tomorrow night, 70 into Thursday. So, but you see that arrow going up. The low is 46, but it's going to go up. Tomorrow's 54, 51. This is not good news, not what we want to see. And this is just kind of in the lowlands, but when you start seeing temperatures in the upper 40s, low 50s, that means up at the ski area and in the mountains, that snow level is going zoom up, sadly. So, and we'll show you that in just a moment as well. We do have a coastal flood advisory again for tomorrow morning out by, the Birch Bay, out by the water area. We're still under a flood watch. We'll talk about more of that in just a second. Then the ski area, I just pulled that up, but you can see the low is 33 tonight. And zoom up. So, basically once it gets above freezing, it's going up to 41, and then maybe, cools a little bit Wednesday night, but then 35. So this 41 right here with all this rain coming is not a good recipe for what we wanted to see. And so this is kind of where we're at. And I'm going to say this repeatedly, you need to be prepared. If you've lived in Everson and you've lived along the Nooksack, and just all the way down, Ferndale and all the way out. The reality is we could be facing an issue again. And the reason there's two things that standing out to me. This is one, well, three. This is one of them right here. 41 degrees. That means the snow levels are going to be somewhere in the 6 or 7, maybe 7,000 feet range, maybe even a little higher at, 7,500. I believe, actually, if I do a point forecast, where's the point forecast? I know it's on here. Oh boy, I used to know exactly where this was. And on that point forecast, it shows you, I'm not sure if this will get it. No. Well, no, that's not the one. But there is a point forecast that you can click on. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. Jennifer knows where this is. She's going to have to help me. I know it's on here somewhere. But it shows you the snow levels. And I'll see if Jennifer can, maybe Jennifer, you can drop that link to that ski area snow level map you shared with me earlier. I know it's in here somewhere and I have it saved, but don't have it up. But that's number one. Okay. Number one is this. Number two, the second thing that I see, and I'm going to go back to sharing the full screen here. So just back this up and maybe I'll just run with this. We now have all three of the main I think these are basically the only three forecast gauges in Whatcom County that are all sitting now in moderate flood stage. Last night they were action. Now and then it went up a little bit into minor, I think, today. I believe it did. And then now it's coming back down, but they're forecasting right here, all three. This is Saxon, South Fork, this is Cedarville, and this is Ferndale. So the reality is here, we have gone a notch or two up of where we were last night. And I said atmospheric rivers, or was this 2 nights ago? Atmospheric rivers often overperform. I've seen it too many times. And so you can look at the weather models, and in the end, it's more. And that's exactly what happened. And the snow levels were a little probably higher than what I thought, and maybe were forecasted. And at this point, this is where we're at. And this is why I kept saying, you got to be prepared. At that time, what information I had, I could see that, we were doing fine. Well, now, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this a couple of days ago. Thanks. Well, yeah. Thanks, Jen. I got it. But, as we look at this, this is where we're at, and we have to deal with it. So that's the second thing, and I'll tell you the third thing in just a minute. But let me show you these flood gauges now. I'm going to pull up Cedarville first, and I'm going to put this up. Hopefully you can see this just fine. If there's any issues, anyone, just let me know, okay? And I will, I'll answer questions too, so you're going to have to stay on here, I guess, because I just can't do it all here. I can't talk and then answer questions. I'm going back and forth with multiple screens here. So we already saw the Cedarville go up almost to minor flood stage at 146.16 feet. Now it's back down, but it's going to head back up. And they're predicting at 148.43. This is not that far off from major flood stage. So if we are, if this forecast is off and it's under, we're going to be touching it. So that's where we have to start thinking, okay, what are the impacts? And North Cedarville is there's no flood gauge forecast at Everson, and there is no flood gauge forecast at Linden. And so it has observations, as we can show you. The Everson gauge is important to us, but it doesn't have a forecast. And so it's just something that we're going to have to play this as it happens. But I'm telling you, you got to be prepared. I've done this drill enough times. And so this is telling me, okay, if this is under at all and they are not forecasting the correct amount of rain and it's going to be more, obviously if it's less, then maybe we're not so bad. But that's what we want. Honestly, I hate this. It's Christmas time, there's a lot of people on edge. And I love snow. I've said this often, and I'd take a snowstorm over flooding any day because flooding just takes it to people. and it is where we're at. Again, I'm not calling for a major flood. I'm not calling for a 2021 flood, but I think we need to be prepared. And I'm running a fine line. How harsh, how hard do I say this versus what, the data that I'm seeing versus, I don't want to scare people. And so I'm running here a fine line, and I mentioned that in one of the comments in one of the posts. So if you look at Cedarville, and I will touch on the Skagit here in just a bit. If you look at the full gauge page on Skagit here, Skagit at Ferndale, it came down, and here's the forecast: moderate stage. That's not very far away from the purple major stage. Now that would come later. Ferndale is further downstream than it is to Cedarville. So Cedarville at this point, let me scroll down, is forecasted to crest at Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Now, that could change. Ferndale, on the other hand, is December 11th at 4 p.m. So almost not quite a 24-hour difference. So here we go. And then here's the third thing that I'm seeing. Okay, and you're just going to have to deal with this as it comes here. But it's the precip amounts. I have not looked at these runs here tonight, but let's take a look at the GFS, and then we're going to look at the high-res models here. So the GFS is picking up the first of all here as we go into early Wednesday morning, the rain to our south. And let's just see what happens as we go into Wednesday. Okay, so this is still Wednesday night. They're forecasting 2.5 inches at Bellingham Airport. Okay, this is early Thursday morning. We're starting to see numbers in the 8-inch range here in the mountains. Okay, they are kind of pushing this a little bit further east, but still, these numbers for, this is 45-hour period. That's on top of, because the river is already up. And if you go back to this, let's go to the Cedarville. See, this is where it was here before. It's now, let's see, that was about 140.62. It's now at 142 feet, basically. So it's a foot and some change already higher than it was to start with yesterday or the day before, so to speak. Okay, so we're already up. And I think you can even see that on Ferndale is even better. See how it was here before, 9.2, I think is what it's saying. It's now at 13, or hope not. And, I'm not, I'm thinking more like the February 20 flood is a possibility. I sure hope it's not even that. But, this is where, if you, the things that I've mentioned before, cars, know where your vehicles, don't leave them in the place where they could get flooded. We saw that a whole bunch in 21 flood. People didn't move their vehicles. Find a friend, find somebody to move them up. If it looks like that's what's going to happen, have a plan. Know where your valuables are going to, do these kinds of things. Put stuff up in a second story, or at least up some. If you're, if you know about the February Super Bowl flood of 20, we put up a preparation thing. It's the best thing I can do. Sandbags are going to be available at Everson and Sumas, and I'll show that in just a moment. So, but going back to the weather models, now I'm going to pull up the high res. This is a low res model that just ran tonight. Actually, let me grab the Euro from earlier today. Let's just take a look at the Euro's rain here and see what their thinking was from the 18Z. The new run is starting to come out. Here, let's run this into basically Thursday. Okay, here's Thursday, 2.6 inches and 5.15 up in the mountains on top of where we're at. Okay, so if you go back to the map where we had earlier of this map, if you added another 4.15 inches on this 4.73, you're basically doubling some of these numbers. Or 5 inches, excuse me. You're basically doubling this. But your river's already higher. You see, hopefully that makes some sense. I cannot predict what's going to happen. I cannot predict that. I cannot tell you where water may end up. I cannot tell you what that levees or dike breaks will happen. I can't tell you if Sumas is going to flood. I can't tell you if small creeks and streams off of that Nooksack and the Sumas River and whatever other drainage ditches such as off Hampton Road. I can't tell you any of those things. I can't forecast that kind of stuff. I'd be like a rich person by now. I can only tell you here's what I'm seeing as somebody who's been in this business for a while. So, and listen, if you do, a lot of people are probably going to spend time preparing, and if it doesn't happen, I think we should be so grateful. And I got that there's going to be potentially a lot of time put into this in the next couple of days. Um, but this is just what I'm seeing. If I'm wrong, and I'm not calling for a major flood. I'm not calling for that. But what I'm saying is be prepared that it could be something. And if it doesn't happen, good. I hope it doesn't happen. So, but this is about the best I can tell you without, scaring you. Let's look at high res. I haven't looked at the latest tonight. So let's take a look at the HRRR0Z, which is going to go out the furthest. I'm going to start over. I'm just going to look. Here comes the rain overnight. Okay. So this is a high res model. Okay. High res weather model. This is Thursday at about 8 o'clock minus noon. We got some absolutely insane amounts of rain in the Cascades for this 44-hour period. We've got 16 inches. Is that I-90 Mount Rainier area? It's in King, so it's kind of in that area. 7 inches in our area, in the mountains. 2.4. So the lowlands is kind of in that 2 to 2, little over 2 inch range. What happens if this overperforms? What happens if we get 9 inches on top of the 4, almost 5 we had already? What happens? Well, that's going to spell big trouble. I'm not saying maybe this underperforms. I'm just saying that's what I'm seeing. Let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at the NAM 3K, which is another high-res model. Let's take a look at the 0Z for today. Tonight. Let's take a look at what it's doing. That is only 28 hours out. This isn't even to Thursday morning yet. They have almost 8.5 inches in our mountains. Okay. Let's keep going. And now this could be overkill. Here we are Thursday morning. Let's go back right about here. Thursday morning, 10.5 inches in the mountains. 2.3 in the lowlands. Okay. Take for what you think could happen. Again, what do I say? I'm just putting the data out there. Let me look at the Canadian high res model. Let's just take a look at this one. Let's run it. I haven't looked at this one. Okay, we're going into Thursday morning here. They're a little bit less, about 6.92 inches kind of. And some of this, could be 5 inches up at ski area. This may not be 100%, at the ski area, but I'm just looking at this mountain region. Look at the mountains down in Snohomish, 11 plus. How about the Icon? We'll give the Germans a shot at this. Okay, let's take a look at the Icon model, 0Z. Let's just see what this is. Let's push this out till Thursday morning. Their bullseye is further south. But that's concerning because we've already got major issues down here. Right here. And you throw another 11 inches on top of that. But they're talking 6 to 7 inches up in our mountains. And Skagit, similar numbers. 2.38 in the lowlands. Not sure what else to... I can keep pulling up maps. Let's pull up the UW real quick. That's run tonight. And yes, I will get to the questions. I promise. We will try to answer as many as possible. But let's just take it one more high-res weather model. Let's see what the accumulation is. I think, yep, this has run out far enough for us tonight. Let's just take a look at the loop for the precip map for Western Washington. Hopefully you can see that without any issues. It's got fun looking ugly. Well, it's going to be ugly colors if this gets real bad. But these colors here. Let's just... Oh, it hasn't run very far out. Why is that? It's only run out to... Okay, there it is. Okay, that is till Thursday afternoon. Let's take a look at these numbers that the UW has spit out. 0Z for Wednesday. So that's the latest run. We are seeing reds are 2 inches. 1.75 to 2. Or that red. Then this red here is 2 to 2.5. Then we go 2.5 to 3. Then we go 3 to 5. Brown is 5 to 7.5, and yellows are pushing the 10-inch and above. I don't know what to, I don't know. Every high-res model is showing 7, 8, 9, 10 inches up in these mountains. Between now and Thursday. This is Thursday afternoon. But just what I'm seeing. Let's take a look at the Facebook page of the Everson Police Department. Let me refresh this and make sure they haven't put anything else up that's new. Okay, 4 hours ago, they put the current forecast shows the Nooksack River hitting moderate flood stage by Wednesday. If the forecast holds, we could see flooding similar to the February 20 flood. Prepare for road closure. Sandbags will be available starting Wednesday at 9 a.m. at the City Shop on Robinson Street for both Everson and Nooksack residents. Everson, Nooksack, and Sumas public work crews are currently installing sandbags along Emerson Road, and I showed that picture on a comment, to try to hold back some of the overflow. Okay? And then they got if the flow at Everson is 50,000 cubic feet per second, which, if you bear with me a second, because I have so many tabs open, hang on one second. Let me see if I can pull up that gauge on here. Let me take a look at something. Let's see if I can find that. I'm doing this kind of on the run here. Why am I not seeing... Why is the Everson gauge not showing up on this map tonight? Oh, maybe that's it. Hang on. Okay. Let's see if I can find the actual data on this. Tabular data. Okay. That's showing the height. But it's not really showing... Not showing what I was hoping for. Let me see. Hang on. Maybe that's the wrong gauge. Hang on. Let me look at this one. See if this shows the cubic feet per second. No, it doesn't. Or it's not doing what I was hoping. Okay. I know there's a place to find that, so I'm doing this on the run. But anyway, going back to this map, it's showing you 50,000 CFS flow inundation map. And again, I'm not sure where they're pulling that flow from. Maybe it's upstream further. There you go. They're just talking about, 2020 flood. And then I'll be honest with you. One of the tickets, or one of the pieces of the pie to look for tomorrow or at some point, is this page right here that shows. And here they are working with the sandbags at 4:30 today. Here on Emerson Road, they've installed this camera after the 21 flood. And if we start seeing water attempting to cross this road, they're putting sandbags in the way. Now, let's see if I can refresh it and see if all the sandbags are up. Yeah, that is if it will come up here with the... Yep, there they all are up. All the sandbags are up. This picture was taken at 21:30. Is that just a second ago? So there you go. Okay? So then we're going to be watching for this on this camera tomorrow. Okay? You can look at the time lapse here too. Over the past 24 hours, you'll see them put the sandbags up probably in this time lapse. There they go. Boom. Man, they're fast. Did you see how fast they put those bags down? 1 second. Okay. Over here, and again, hopefully you can all see this okay. And I'll stop for comments after this. Here is a list of the road closures or water over roadway. It appears that they've taken the Hannigan off the route. So 8:02 tonight. So I know somebody was asking me about this. So if you're listening, Riley, I believe it's Riley, it looks like Hannigan's open. I would be prepared that's going to close down sometime tomorrow afternoon, evening, or, overnight on Wednesday night. But we got Barrett Road, Bilesma, Ferndale, or, the normal places that we've done this drill. And then the normal places with water over the road. So I'm like, where's East Hemi on this one? Okay. So anyway, we'll try to keep you updated. We'll probably have to put some, flood posts up. If this gets dicey and starts going crazy, I'll probably have to get out and start streaming. Okay. So let's go through I'm going to start at the top of the list with the comments on YouTube first, and then I'm coming back through Facebook. Okay. Keith says I made a new Facebook page. Okay. That's awesome. Rick says, evening, Randy. Great, great. I may not spend a lot of time talking all these comments that are just saying hi, even though I say hi to you all. Make sure you like, subscribe, and watch. But definitely subscribe and like, because you're already watching, right? That's on YouTube. On Facebook, hit the love. We love the love. I guess if you're angry about the potential of a flood, hit the angry, but love gets us in the algorithm, I guess. Let's see. Let me continue on here. I'm going through these fast. Thanks, Mark. Beyond 90 seconds, Mark Horner. I appreciate that comment. Thank you, Mickey Blue Eyes. Okay. Drove 70 plus miles today, seen across every bridge over the Nooksack I could. It's quite swollen. Yep. Did you go down to the Saxon area too? That was the Star Wars Emperor 8334. Okay. Jennifer, moderator here tonight, on helps on the page a ton, is don't be scared, be prepared. If everywhere floods, then what city is best to stay? Mama's Random Channel asks. We'll be in Ferndale, but will they flood too? What about Linden? So Ferndale can flood. Yes, absolutely. But Ferndale's flooding will come later than Linden's. Okay? So it's downstream further. It's going to start upstream and then move downstream, and that takes a period of hours and time. So Ferndale would come in later. Linden has a lot of areas where it's higher up too, as Ferndale does as well. I don't know where you live, and I don't know where you could go if there was some issues, but that's the things people need to think about now. And the one concern that we had in 21, not necessarily with the 20 flood that I remember, but we had the issue in the 21 flood of the guide meridian was connecting Linden to Bellingham. Literally, I-5 was shut down with water over the road. Hampton Road was shut down. Hannigan was shut down. Badger was shut down. And I suspect if we get a 2020 type flood, we're going to see Badger shut down. We're going to see Hampton shut down. You're going to see Hannigan shut down. Not necessarily I-5, but some of those Ferndale low-lying roads, of course. So, but I would say Linden on that one is probably overall. But the low-lying areas around Linden are going to have some potential trouble. Okay. Oh, I got to look at that point-by-point forecast point. Okay. Can you touch on the Skagit situation? Okay, let's touch on the Skagit situation, since I see a lot of comments about that. So let me back up here to the Skagit. Let's get theirs up here. And so we have, let's take concrete first. So this is a shocking thing to me, I'll be honest. And I don't know how other people are handling this. And actually, I have a friend of mine who's on he's part of the the Skagit, it's something, and I can't think of it. I need to contact him and see. I know they were prepping for this, and I know the flood wall in Mount Vernon is up. So I got report of that thanks to Heather, who reported that from Skagit. But you can see that it went only, and I think this was supposed to go to major, if I remember right, when this dropped. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to go back and watch my live stream from last night. But it only, if it did supposed to go, we call it a double bump. But a double bump into major, and I thought this one was going to go, and it didn't. It really was 4 feet lower than probably what they had, if that was true. If that's true, I can't remember. But it's come down, and it looks like it's heading back up. The record at concrete, if you scroll down here, is the 1815 flood. I'm going to skip that one just because I don't know I wasn't here, and neither were you, so I don't know what made that be what it was. And I'm sure there's books written about it, and I know there's stories about it, but the 03 flood, which a lot of people remember the 03 flood and the 95 flood, 42.21 is the record. This is saying 47, almost 48 feet. I don't even know, is there an issue with this? Is this the bullseye that the forecast, and these forecasts are probably put together by National Weather Service employees after looking all the data at snow levels and precip amounts. But when you go back, I don't know. Are they looking and saying, we're going to get 10 more inches of rain potentially in the Skagit County area and wherever the Skagit River flows out of? I would have to pull all that map stuff up. And again, I'm not an expert on that side of the Skagit County. I know a lot of people want me to run a Skagit weather page. I just can't at this point. But you're looking here at this icon, and that's putting some big numbers here. Again, well, that's Snohomish. But one of these others, I think, had Skagit. Well, still like 10 inches. Yeah, here's another one showing a little bit of light purple. That's like 11 inches. So I don't know, other than, you know, it's all, if we go back to this, it didn't even get below action stage and it started heading back up. So you see how it didn't get back to its original. And now, if this AR is going to be longer in duration and more precip. So I don't know. I mean, if this happens, I don't even know what to say. If you scroll down on this page, let me drop this in the links here. This is Skagit at Concrete. And I know there's lots more comments coming in, and I just do the best I can, okay? Thank you. Skagit are at Concrete. I'm putting these in the comments of both YouTube and Facebook. Okay, but if you scroll down on this page, the flood impacts the Skagit River at 40 feet will cause severe near-record flooding from Rockport downstream through Cedro. Deep and swift floodwaters will inundate and damage roads, farms, and businesses. And it talks about Cape Horn, Hamilton, Thunderbird, some of these places I talked about last night that I've never heard of. Levees could be damaged east of Cedro. I mean, that's just 40 feet. This is 47. I don't know. Is this like... I hope this is an error. What do I say? This is where, you'd have to talk to Skagit officials. What about Mount Vernon? The Skagit at Mount Vernon. I mean, this is concerning to me. But I just don't know enough about this. The gauges and stuff like that. But here we go. This got back to action. Or it's trying to get, but it's not going to go below action. And it's calling 41.5 at Mount Vernon. Major flooding is 32. The historic crests are 37.37 in the 90 flood. 37.32 in the November 21 flood. This is saying 41 and a half? I mean, I don't know. This is like craziness. So, are Skagit officials, does Skagit have a Facebook page for this kind of stuff? They've got to. Well, let's take a look at Skagit Breaking. Maybe they've got some stuff. Well, they put up a story about a flood from, I don't know when. This was the, which flood was this? This was Fur Island. What year was this? Come on, somebody will know. I'm not seeing a year. Okay, they're sharing these. Skagit Breaking. Okay, Skagit Breaking is saying urgent flood. These updated river crest numbers are massive. This has the potential to be a 100-year flood level event that many have not seen before. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. We will know more Wednesday morning. They're talking about getting their animals moved, getting your vehicles, having emergency supplies. They're taking this serious. Okay, here's the Skagit government page. They're taking it. They're taking it. They're saying it. Skagit County government is saying it. Major flood. I mean, major flooding is expected from December 10th to the 12th. They said the river's forecast to reach near 40. Let's see. Updated. Okay, so earlier when they posted it, they said the river was forecast to reach near record at 40.65 in concrete, but now at 6:25 tonight, they increased it to 47 feet in concrete and 41 in Mount Vernon. So let's go back to this. 41, and is this 40 and 47, almost 48. I don't know. They're calling for it, or at least they're saying that it could potentially be. Skagit, be prepared. That's all I can say. I don't like this. Okay. So that's the Skagit situation. Yes, they probably do need to put a forecast. I think they had a gauge at Everson. I do think there's a gauge there, and I might be pulling up that data, but I don't know if they have a forecast there. Lots of variables, but do we know how the precip and river levels compare to 2020 at this point before the river crested? Just a second. Let me pull up Cedarville. The crest on the 20 flood was one at now. Now here's another issue. The riverbed has probably had some, could be throwing off the measurements from the 21 flood. Without going into all that detail, and I'm not the expert on this, okay, but this may not be as accurate as we think it is. But the crest and the 20 flood was 148.68 at Cedarville. They are calling for 148.43 now, so basically 0.15 of a foot lower. If it rains more, then let their forecasting. What was the measurement in the 21 flood? 150.35, but again, we're not sure about the bed. The riverbed. Yeah, I honestly, maybe it floods a little earlier. I like that. If there's more sediment in the bottom of the bed, does that affect the height? I don't know if they fix that or if they measure that. Honestly, I'm staying out of it. I'm just the forecaster side. All I can say is it's similar to the 2020, at least at Cedarville. Ferndale, I don't know that got hit as bad in 20. I know 21 they got some, but I always said a lot of the water that should have gone to Ferndale in one sense ended up in BC and Sumas. And at the time in Road Dyke, backed up in that ditch over by Northwood. Okay, please subscribe, please like. This is probably, YouTube is where we are going to probably try to live stream. Just letting you know. Okay, Rick asking about the Skycomish. Let me take a quick look at that, even though it's a little bit out of our range. I think there's this. Is it the one at Gold Bar? So we'll take a look at the full gauge page of this. And we're seeing, we already were at major. And then we're going to go about 2+ feet over that on the next one. Historic record is 24.5, and it looks like. Let me double check. Yeah, in the 06 flood. So a couple feet under that at this point. It wouldn't take much to put that close to it. So that's the Skycomish near Gold Bar. Okay. Oh, back to a question about sandbags. Yes, Everson has sandbags. Okay, now I've messed up this. But Everson's having sandbags, I believe it's starting at 9. And then Sumas put out theirs. They will be available between 9 and 3 tomorrow at the city shop in Sumas, Newman Road. Okay. That's the latest from the city of Sumas. And then we mentioned Everson earlier. Okay. I'm just looking at these comments. Okay. Yeah. Forecast gauge at Everson. I don't know what it would take to get that in. Boy, in the 21 flood, I was dealing with media. I was dealing with BC people. I was dealing with, oh yeah, just a ton, as everybody else was. But it was just like, wow. Okay, the bed has changed massively. Snoqualmie Falls. Yeah, Snoqualmie Falls. Yeah, you think it was crazy today. Look at it. Hold on, let me go back to this. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Hang on. Let me take a look, because it was roaring today. Is this it? Look at what it'll be tomorrow. I mean, is this even possible? Snoqualmie River near the falls. I mean, at least I guess this gives you an idea. It went to 45 for the river. And I got it, near the falls. And then it's come down just below action. It was 45.10. Now they're saying 59. Crazy. This is crazy. If some of these numbers are even close. And this would be cubic feet. K. What is the K? It's thousands probably. But what is the number? 59. So somewhere between the 55 and 70,000. I don't know what the records are. Okay, why don't they have this in feet? Because this, yeah, I'm not sure here. I don't know enough about this exactly. I know it's doing flow here on this one. Why isn't it show me the feet? Major flooding. Yeah, well, it's major, 41. But I can't really, trying to figure out what the flood impacts would be for this. But either way, I would guess there's going to be some flood impacts downstream. Ferndale, Sandbags. I have not heard about anything from Ferndale yet. Did we even look at the Ferndale gauge? We did look at the Ferndale gauge, right? And we didn't look at the Saxon gauge. Did we look at the Ferndale gauge? Yeah, we did. And again, it'll be a little later, more into the next Thursday time period or early Thursday morning, potentially. The Saxon one is also forecasted to go up into moderate. So I can tell you which gauge. I can tell you which gauge I would be watching also, and that is the one upstream of Cedarville, and it is this one, the North Fork gauge. This is the gauge that will tell us when things are going to start to crest down. Well, it'll first start there, but this is the gauge that is, and it got up to 6, 7 here. It's forecast to go up to 10, almost 11, 10.7. So that's, I don't know if we've got the info from the 21 flood here or the 20 on this one. Yeah, I don't think this one has that kind of information. Maybe have to dig deeper to find it. But I will be watching this gauge. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, okay, David's saying hover over the data points. Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. There you go. Okay, so if we go back to Snoqualmie. Okay, 19.1 feet. Thank you. Appreciate that. There's so much stuff going on here. So 19, it would not be a top 5 crest then. Or let's see, what was it again? Yeah, it wouldn't even be a top 5, but still. Yeah. Ferndale. Let me check in Ferndale here and see if they have any updates. And now I got people coming in to be on my live stream. You guys are going to be on my live stream here.
Oh, we're wondering if Hannigan's open.
Yeah.
The Hannigan is not on the list anymore as being closed. It appears to be open.
Because I want to go home.
Yes. Well, you can always go down the guide, but yes. Yes.
Well,
It looks like it is open.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is somebody else on this live?
No, I'm watching myself over there. Okay, the city of Ferndale here is monitoring the forecast, and they just kind of put a general alert 8 hours ago up. Okay? So there's nothing, I'm not seeing anything about sandbags, at least that I see, but keep a close eye on the city of Ferndale. Also, another site is Whatcom, is it Ready? Whatcom Ready is another site that you should have on the back of your list here of what here. And they had posted, if you were here for the 2020 Super Bowl flood, yep, okay. They're talking about potentially mirroring that. Okay. Believe I put my video, well, maybe they took it down. But, and again, whenever I do this, sometimes it'll have problems. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that report on the Hannigan. Sometimes it'll hang up the live stream. But here's my video from the 2020 flood. Hopefully you can see it. I'll turn the sound off. But this was the 2020 flood. And this is my video through Livestorms Media. And you can kind of see, I think this is out in Sumas. This is out, I think, on Lindsay Road. This is out on, as you're heading up the Sumas-Kendall road. This is all that Sumas-Kendall. I'm not sure what this creek or river, if it's the Sumas River, I'd have to look, or if it's Johnson Creek. This is out, maybe North Telegraph area. I'm forgetting. Oh, that might be Lindsay Road there. Anyway, so you can kind of see, if you Google the 2020 February flood, Whatcom County, and find Livestorms Media, those will be all my videos just about. This is Hampton Road, right here. So hopefully that didn't mess anything up. Okay. Let me look at Facebook, and I appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everybody that's joining in tonight. We got a huge number joining in on both streams, it appears. So really, really appreciate it. Wow, we got a lot of comments on Facebook. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Go back to there. Okay. And oh no. You know what? I'm going to do it off my phone. Let me put up a picture or two for something else so you can look at. That's probably not the picture here. How about you watch a satellite stream here for a minute as I go through the comments on Facebook. And feel free to keep putting them on YouTube in the chat. Make sure you comment also on the actual stream too as well. So, yep. Okay, let me just look. Okay, Leslie says Anagan's open for now. Caden says he can help with filling sandbags. He has or at least he has a truck that he can help. Jacob asks possible floods for Blaine. Blaine would be mainly streams and urban flooding. You know, I honestly don't remember. I know Birch Bay Linden got zapped. It got part of the road, right, on Birch Bay Linden got washed out there by Ham Road. I have video of that too, but I think that was in the 21 flood, I think. I don't honestly know a ton about the Blaine area, what happened in the 21 flood, because I was covering Sumas and Ferndale, and I didn't hardly get to Bellingham on that flood. And, yeah. So I'm honestly can't say a lot about Blaine. I'm sorry. Maybe somebody else can chime in. Okay, there's a Skagit River report is a Facebook page, okay? John Perry says, yeah, the gauge at Everson is not a forecasting gauge. Yeah, and we did talk about that. Wondering why, if they could get one on there, would be, or they could set that up to get that as a forecasting gauge. But yeah, correct. Cedarville is the last forecast gauge. Well, Ferndale downstream, I think, has a forecast gauge, but I know what you mean upstream. Okay. Okay, that article in the Skagit was from the 90 flood, it looks like. Okay, Fur Island. Okay, 90. Yep. Thank you. Okay, John says Everson's flood inundation maps are using the flow data from the Cedarville gauge. Perfect. Got that. Yep. Thank you. And that's the mayor from Everson coming on the live here tonight. Thank you so much. And again, let me encourage you, you've got to watch those pages. City of Everson, City of Sumas, or Everson PD, I think is actually the page that it is. And then City of Ferndale, City of Bellingham. Lummi has Lummi communication page. I'm trying to go through some of these. Up in the foothills, they have a foothills page. I don't know who runs one or two of those up there, but yeah. Katrina's asking, will it be yes, it'll mostly be a Western Washington. Well, having said that, hold on, because I saw things about Leavenworth and Yakima River. Hold on a second. Let me just take a look at this map. Well, yeah, we've got, there are some rivers coming out the east side here. Wenatchee River, Yakima River. So there's going to be some east side issues. Not nearly, though, as compared to the west side, it appears. Okay, I think I talked about Skagit. Hopefully this live is helping. Okay, Dennis is asking about rain after Thursday. I'll try to address that here at the end. I want to go over a couple more things. The snowfall on the top of Mount Rainier was crazy. Above where the snow levels were keeping it at snow. It was like 50 inches overnight. At least that was forecasted. Okay. And just be prepared. Jordan says he's getting prepared. Yeah, Jennifer Cunningham, who I think I was with you in the 20 flood. I'm pretty sure King 5 interviewed you over there by Main Street, and I came over there, but with that rescue. We had that rescue in Everson in the 20 flood. I could probably pull that video up too. Okay, so people are asking about Sumas. So to understand the Sumas situation here is if the water tops at Emerson Road, which I pulled up that picture earlier at Everson here, where they were putting the sandbags down. If it overtops here at Everson, now I'm not sure what's going to happen. Obviously they're trying to divert this. The goal with these sandbags, I'm guessing here, and I could be corrected here by the officials is to try to divert the water from going towards Main Street in Everson and pushing north, which is what it's done in the 20 and 21 flood. And so then that goes, and you can pull up a map here, and I may not be 100% accurate on exactly the route it's taking here, but if you zoom in here on Everson, and you got the river coming over here at Emerson Road, okay, and then it crosses at Main Street. Crosses. Why does it say Columbia Street? I thought it was Main Street. Well, anyway, it crosses here. I think I'm right on this. And then it continues to Tom Road. That's just what I was going to say. And then Lindsay Road. Am I right? Yeah. Lindsay Road. And then it just keeps heading towards Badger. And then this is kind of where I'm not quite sure. I know it goes in here. And then we've got Johnson Creek and some things there. And then it just kind of heads towards Sumas. I honestly, if it goes on both sides of the high school, or if it's just this side, I thought it was both, but somebody would have to correct me on that or tell me the. And then it just kind of heads towards Sumas, and then that's kind of the route it's taking. Mostly, I think, on this side of Highway 9. On this, although, and I remember in the 21 flood, might have done that too fast. But in the 21 flood, come on. Well, Google Maps doesn't like me anymore. Nooksack areas, got hammered on the west side of Highway 9. But for some reason, my map just went crazy, so it doesn't like me. Let's take a look at this point forecast, and I'll come back to questions here in just a minute. The point forecast here for Mount Baker ski area, this is what I wanted to look at. So they're talking about wow. Elevation is 4,200 feet. This is concerning to me, if this is accurate. They're talking about the snow levels. And okay, so there's some uncertainty. I guess this would be the average of the uncertainty. So 7,500 on the low end to 8,000, and then coming back down as we go into toward the weekend, and then next week potentially up again. That's don't like to see that at all. So somebody's asking, is Sumas going to flood overnight tonight? No. If tomorrow night, I don't know about tomorrow night, but it's not going to happen tonight. So I'm pretty certain about that, just by looking, assuming these forecast gauges are correct. As we come back, let's go back to the Cedarville gauge here. And assuming we're correct on the Cedarville, forecast, it's kind of leveling out here. And then it's supposed to, again, is this accurate? The observation's accurate, but is it, is this going to go a little lower than I don't know, or is it not? But they're talking about tomorrow night at Cedarville would be a crest. So then you got to come downstream a little bit to Everson, and then that water would take quite some time. I don't know if it's 5 hours. I don't remember, but there's a certain amount of time between the time it overtops at Emerson. But again, they have sandbags there. So what is that going to do with the flow? Does that prevent that flow from getting to Sumas? I think that's the goal. And hopefully, I know that water's got to go somewhere, but, so Sumas, I think there's a period of hours there. So this would be happening more Thursday morning, I'm guessing. But, this might change as well. And the mayor who's on here on this slide might be able to fill in some more details. Okay, it looks like he's putting some more stuff on. Peak flow to Sumas was over 15,000. Super was about 4,900. The flood could be between 4,000 and 5,000 flowing to Sumas. Impacts will depend on the length of time of overflow. Okay, so really, he's really helping out here. That's John Perry. He's giving some really good information, some of the detailed stuff that I don't know. I kind of looking more at the bigger picture than the individual little picture. So, okay, and he says sandbags will help reduce that flow to Sumas, and that's the goal there. So hopefully, as that's what we want to see. So, but you can see the flow to Sumas in the 21 flood was about 3 times the amount of the Super Bowl flood of 20. So, and they're saying it could be 4,000 to 5,000. Again, it'll depend on the length of time of overflow. So, okay, Candace asked, do you think you can get to Mount Vernon on Saturday? It's too far ahead for me to answer. I don't know what, I mean, I'm going to, mudslides, could that knock out? It's hard for me to say. I'm going to assume that, they're going to try to keep I-5 open. So I'm hoping, but I can never predict when these events, what roads might get hit, what might happen with slides and other things, and also what's going to happen with the Skagit River. So, okay, Dallas says the west side of the river. West side of the high school. Thank you for that. Okay. Linden has had problems, yes, in the past. Not the city up above, but in the low-lying areas down below. And then in the 21 flood, the water came up to the train tracks, if not past on Northwood, when the Timon Road dike broke, I believe. And I think it broke twice in that, if I remember right. But don't quote me on that. But the first time it backed, I believe, that ditch up, if I remember, and toward Hampton, and then up Northwood. It just got inundated. But again, that's not technically Linden, I guess. Okay. Ooh, I'm getting tired, but I know everybody else is also tired. So, Dak asks, what's the south side of the bridge in Everson look like if you had to guess? What do you mean? I'm not quite sure. What you mean? Is it going to flood like it did last time? So I'm not quite sure about that question. May need a little more update on that. Okay. I'm not sure if the pump station just north of Sumas is functioning correctly. That would help water in Sumas River stay down and help flow out. Okay. I don't know that either. See, this is the one thing. I'm more on the forecasting side, looking at that, how much rain's coming. When it gets into the nitty-gritty details, so to speak, of the cities and everything, I just don't have some of those answers, and I'm sure everybody's on edge with it. But we just be prepared. That's all I can say. Be prepared. Best you can. And again, hope for the best. So, okay. John's answering these questions. Really, really appreciate him being on this live tonight. Really, really good. I mean, there's a lot of people on it, and he's on the Facebook side of it. So, really appreciate him answering these questions that I don't have full, So, thank you. Really, really appreciate that a lot. Okay, so if you're on the YouTube side, go back over to Facebook and read some of the answers that Mayor Perry has up. He's answering some of these questions, so really, yeah, very good here. Oh boy, I think we've looked. I'm gonna check the tonight's Euro run. I'm kind of done for talking about the river right now, and just gonna look at some forecast maps here for a second. So. Thank you for joining. If you were again to summarize, potentially a fair amount of rain coming here. A couple inches in the lowlands, maybe a little more, and then up in the mountains it could be 6, 7. I've seen some models put out some crazy numbers, 8, 9 inches, but ultimately you don't ever really know until it happens. Snow levels are zooming up to maybe at least 7,000 feet for the next little while into tomorrow. The potential of the officials have mentioned 2020 flood, the Super Bowl flood, as a possible, comparison. I don't believe we're looking at a 21 flood, and nobody is saying that. But as I said before, you just got to be ready. So this is the time to do that. So, yeah, thanks, Rick. But it's been a long few days. There's more going on in my life than just the weather, so there's a lot going on. So I'm trying to keep up with a bunch of things. So anyway, but I'm not. Impacts could it turn into a 21? I don't know. I hope not for sure, and I wish we weren't having to deal with this again. As I know most everybody, I don't know anybody that hopes for a flood. So. Okay, I'm going to look at the Euro run tonight, and then I'll come back to a few more questions. Thanks. Oh, subscribe, watch on YouTube. We're growing the channel fast. Sadly, in this way, I'd rather grow it with a snowstorm. And then Facebook, really appreciate the numbers on here tonight and the great questions here. And yes, we are live streaming on both platforms. But when I go to the field, I'm going to make an attempt, so to speak. If I'm going to cover any issues tomorrow or Thursday, I'm shooting for YouTube. I'm just going to tell you that right now. My backup is I'll have to use Facebook if I have to, but YouTube is my first choice, and just because Facebook is honestly a pain when it comes to the algorithm and stuff. Okay, I'm just going to take a look here at the Euro tonight. Thanks again for joining. Really, really appreciate it. I just kind of want to look in to see what, is there more precip potentially coming? This trough dipping down here on Sunday potentially could bring some more. Okay, these greens would be cooler. This potentially would be mountain snow next week. I'm not saying that's what's coming. I'm just looking at this. Here comes another Gulf of Alaska trough swinging maybe through. Yep, that would be mountain snow at the very least. Again, this is way far out. Does look like, here's what I'm going to tell you. It looks like we stay in an active pattern. Okay? And by the way, if we go to hang on, let me pull this up. I've got so many things open here. If we go to the area forecast discussion, let's see, the new one is out. So it just came out a few minutes ago. Let me go over this. A strong atmospheric system will continue to bring periods of heavy rain and gusty winds. Oh yeah, we got winds as well. We haven't even talked about winds. Jennifer, we're going to have to touch on that. She's probably gone to bed. Had enough. Minor coastal flooding due to the high tides will also concerns again for the coastlines. That would be Birch Bay area, etc. Wet and unsettled conditions will continue through the remainder of the week. Okay. Strong atmospheric systems well underway. The axis shifted south this afternoon while we had our lull. Precipitation would fill back in later this afternoon and the early hours of the evening, and that's what happened as it shifted northward. The second wave will have a longer duration of rain, with latest guidance trending a little bit wetter than previous forecasts. I think I mentioned that in my post earlier tonight. The longer duration rain will keep rivers elevated, with another round of rises coming. Significant river flooding is expected to continue over the next several days. That doesn't necessarily mean that significant river flooding is attached to the Nooksack. They're just using that in all their rivers. Looking at the Skykomish, the Snohomish, the Snoqualmie, the Skagit. Now Nooksack is showing moderate rain across the lowlands and 5 to 8 over the mountains. So it's basically what I've been saying. Okay, so they're looking at the same, basically the same data we are here. Many rivers have entered major flood stage or will enter. Winds 40 to 45 mile an hour late this evening. Okay. Jennifer looks like she's got a hold on that. She might make a post on that. Snow levels. Okay, this was earlier, but they're going to rise to rapidly this evening. See? 7,000 to 9,000 feet. There we go. So nothing really new that we're learning. Long term, unsettled weather will continue through the remainder of the week as additional systems are set to cross over the northwest. Flooding concerns will linger at least into Thursday and even into the weekend for some areas, or for many areas. More systems on the way through early part when you look at latest ensemble data starting on Monday, which will keep the wet pattern wet and active. So there you go. I want to look at something real quick here. I want to look. This is bonus coverage. We've gone well over our half hour. We're well over an hour. I want to take a look at temperatures on the Euro. That's what I'm going to do. So let me take a look at 2 meter temps on the Euro. Just a second here. Let's just see if there's a cool down that might come next week. That would put some mountain snow up there in the mountains instead of rain. Okay, Friday. I'm just looking at this really quick. Ew. Sunday, 59? I don't like that. Yeah, okay. Tuesday? Yeah? There's at least an attempt here to be cooler at mid next week, Tuesday or so of next week. Up in the mountains. Okay? Well, we'll see. We shall see what comes. Okay. Whew. Are there areas higher risk of landslides? Well, yeah, I mean, obviously hillsides. Obviously we've had problems on Chuckanet. We've had problems on I-5. We've had problems up in. Wasn't there a mudslide up on by Silver Lake? Was that the 21 flood? I honestly don't remember. So yeah, I mean it's those hillside areas. So I would say, Kevin. Then I should be fine to go to work tomorrow if floodwaters come Thursday morning. Yes. Alaska Air Girl. I think you were talking about Sumas, but I think I can't remember now. I'm getting confused. But tomorrow should be okay. As you know, so obviously there's the list, the low line list, and a few roads that are still closed. But I doubt you're taking Poland or Bilesma to and Marine Drive and the normal roads that go under with just a little bit of flooding, low line flooding. I think I think tomorrow morning it'll be fairly okay to get around. It'll be as we go in the later in the day or tomorrow night or even into the next morning kind of thing. At least unless these forecast gauges are off. So. Okay, Jennifer says the wind looks strongest south Whatcom County, gusts to 25, potentially 30 to 35 overnight. The Star Wars Emperor says, where are the best spot to see flooding? Oh boy. Yeah, well, I'm not sure how if I want to answer that one because, yeah, I doubt the officials want, if there's major flooding going on. Of course, having said that, I am out in it. This has come up in the snow chasing that we've done here. And, concerns about that when, you tell people to stay home. I view my work as trying to help save lives and help the community. And so I guess I view myself a little different, but I got it. The main areas that have flooded in the past, Hannigan, Hampton. But some of these you're not going to be able to get to potentially. Not Birch Bay, Linden. Badger, towards the high school. Sumas, if it were to get there. But Everson, Emerson Road. But I'm sure the officials don't really want people, just coming to see. Anywhere along the Nooksack, Nolte Road. I'm just trying to think. Ferndale has the low line roads. Slater, but they close that down usually if there's issues there. Slater. If Bellingham, in 21, Bellingham had the water table, but Squalicum Creek was up and crazy. I think Squalicum Parkway was shut down. Iowa Street. Go to Iowa Street. There you go. Iowa Street. That one floods. Yeah, Iowa Street underneath the overpass, always a problem. Highway 9 can have issues. Mount Baker Highway can have issues west of Deming. North Cedarville area, East Hemi Road. I mean, the list could go on and on. But, I'm hoping that we don't have as much issues. So, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, parts of Meridian by Kelly Road had problems last time. Water ski on the River Road, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'm, now what does this say? Whatcom Storm Chasers. I don't know who Whatcom Storm Chasers are. Said Nooksack at Cedarville will have major flooding, record breaking. What are you? I don't know who are the Whatcom Storm Chasers. Yeah. Honestly, not sure who that is. I did not say if it was me. I doubt Benjamin on Washington Weather Chaser said the Nooksack at Cedarville would have a major flooding record breaking. He could have said, I said if it were to go a couple more feet up, I believe, then it could push towards that, but that's not forecasted. So I'm not sure where Danielle's getting that. Maybe you could drop me a link in a message so I could look at that. But I know Benjamin at Washington Weather Chasers, he might have said something similar to where, it's a couple feet or so. If you go back to the flood gauge at Cedarville here, the record is 150.35. and right now it's 148.43 forecast. That's 2 feet below its all-time record, if I'm reading this right. And it wouldn't, what would it take? I don't know. Over, if we get extra inches of rain up there, could that push it up? But right now the forecast is in the moderate stage. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay. All I'm saying is it's 2 feet difference from the record because it's 150.35 and it's basically 2 feet. That's still a lot, but it's just something to, I'm looking at. So, okay. And John Mayor Perry said that he doesn't think that's, the data doesn't support that. And I'm, not seeing at this point. But again, if the rain amounts are way high, or way over, or this, something different in this, and this could be adjusted down too. So they keep updating this. They updated this forecast went up at 8:23 tonight, just before we went on. And the observations through 9:15. So, okay, Sumas. Boy, I've discussed it a bunch. We're hoping that the sandbags and the Everson Road area will help divert some of that to Sumas if it starts happening, topping over at Everson. And that's going to be a wait and see. But you can sandbag. You can get sandbags starting tomorrow, I believe, at 9 a.m. Check the Sumas City government page and keep a check on that a lot tomorrow. So, and keep that as well. Okay. Daniel put a link up. Oh, Nooksack Valley neighbors. Hold on a second. Let me see here. I'm going to have to look at that later. So let me take a look at that later. Thanks for that link, because I'm logged in as my weather thing, and yeah. Okay. Whew. I think I'm done for tonight. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be up at it. We'll keep updating as we go, and tomorrow. And thanks again to Mayor Perry for joining here tonight. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please subscribe on YouTube. Please help us. We're trying to gain watch hours just because we want to get into that algorithm. So, okay, thank you. Have a great night. And let's just hope and pray for the best. Okay, Randy Small, Whatcom County Weather signing out for tonight.